today is acquiring ESL listening skills through metacognitive strategy. This is a conceptual approach during a pandemic e-learning times. So I'm not going to tell you on activities you use for your teaching of listening, but I'm telling here how do you make your learners to become independent learners. Because for your kind information, all of you all, the metacognitive strategy, the main aim of metacognitive strategy is to make your learners to become independent learners. And at this time of pandemic situation, okay, we have now, we really need learners to become independent learners. So the approach, I am applying it to listening, but don't get me wrong, you may apply it to your own areas. For example, mathematics or anything, you can use the steps which I'm promoting here. This is an extract of my PhD study which I've completed, okay. Now, as my topic is on listening, now listening is, according to Vandergriff, listening is a skill that is difficult to describe. It demands a host of information processing, okay, because when a learner learns, once they listen, they need to process on what they learn, and they need to connect it to their background knowledge. And it also, why is it difficult? Because one of the reasons is language proficiency. If they are unable to process what they listen, so they cannot understand or comprehend what they hear. Okay, Mendelssohn 2016. It is very essential for ESL learners as effective listening strategies. Because a lot of learners, they have these challenging issues, problematic, ineffective, which I will touch later on teachers' perception, on learners' perception, okay? Okay, and these days we do have a lot of listeners where they try to, for example, when it comes to learning language, we have reading, writing, speaking, and listening. Okay, why I put listening at the last year? Okay, because listening has been neglected by many parties, many people. Okay, and they tend to focus on reading, writing, and speaking because they think that listening is not important, and they do not have strategy when it comes to acquiring listening. Okay, now there is a lot of core skills for speaking, reading, and writing, but not many in listening. So if normally whenever I ask the teachers out there or educators out there, how do you teach your learners listening? So what they do is they give a score sheet, and they on the audio play, and then the learners answer the question. Now we also need to know whether the learners, they understood what they are listening, not just by simply scoring. Scoring wise is not going to help. We need to understand that whether whatever they are listening, do they understand or not. Okay. Next, the challenges in acquiring listening. Now, according to Dean, listening has been viewed as a neglected skill, but it is a growing need for school leavers. Okay, because a growing demand. School leavers. Okay, because why I'm telling school leavers, because whenever they enter in a tertiary level, they have to face listening skills. Some of the universities are offering it as a subject. Some of them, they need to sit a proficiency test, for example, like Malaysian University English Test in Malaysia, or international level, we have the IELTS and TOEFL. Okay, they need to come up, they have to sit for this test. Next, Field 2008, teachers are normally focused with speaking skills. Okay, yes, because many educators, they think speaking is a need for a long-term purpose for the learners. They don't see other skills as important. So this has become quite an issue, okay? Because many people, they prefer teaching speaking than listening because of strategy issues. Okay. Now Abbas Muhammad Reza, later I will go in very detail, because when Abbas and Muhammad Reza, they did research, they found out a lot of key areas that became a problem for learners. Now, ESL learners are in crucial needs for listening strategies and guidance. Now, if you notice, especially at this pandemic situation, our learners, they really need a strategy and guidance. And we definitely cannot be there to guide them face to face. So we have to come up with a method or way, okay, for our learners to actually to what is on to apply what they are going to acquire. For example, like here is the listening skills. Now, according to Mohana and Shamra in 2012, okay, ESL learners have given lack of emphasis towards listening skills because they are unable to understand effectively. So this has for example, in Malaysia we have the Malaysian University English test. So many learners are nowadays they are focusing on other language skills compared to listening. Now, in 2017, Shadia, she did a very good research because she found out that what influenced EFL students the most is one is the accent. They have the accent, the pronunciation, the speed of speech, insufficient vocabulary, different accent of speakers, lack of concentration. Learners, they don't concentrate on what they're listening because they don't know how to concentrate. That is an issue. Anxiety, bad quality of recording were the major listening acquisition problem encountered by EFL students. Now, just now I mentioned like the Abbas and Muhammad Reza. Now, there are 7 important obstacles they found in ESL Learner 1. The ability of listeners to listen to the speaker speak. You know, especially when we are Asians, it's very difficult for us to understand Europeans or Australians accent, international English accents, native speakers English accents. I have a lot of students who they cannot catch the speed. Okay, and they do sometimes they have even issues in catching up with my speed. So I wonder how you can imagine how what kind of obstacle they are facing. Now, listeners cannot have words repeated. Okay, and many people here, I think if you have set for the IELTS or MUET, okay, any listening test, okay, by the professional bodies, you can only listen the test once. You are not allowed to listen the test twice. So listeners, they have a major issue when it comes to this. Okay, and then they have limited vocabulary. This is a major issue. Why? Because our learners, they don't want to listen. They don't want to expand their vocabulary. Actually, vocabulary you can expand through listening as well. Because when you listen, you understand the right pronunciation of the word. But when you read, some people they pronounce it wrongly because they don't know the phoneme or the phonetics of the vocab. Now, the failure to recognize these cause markers, they don't know when a speaker is going to a next sentence or next subject, and lack of contextual knowledge. Okay, many of them are not exposed to different kind of words, the words which are used around the world. Okay, if we go like if you go to a countryside area, some of them may not know what is a shopping mall also. So if you describe something in the shopping mall, a word, okay, for example, you describe to them Gucci, a brand, they may not know what is that. Okay. Now, the difficulty in maintaining concentration, we all as educators face this problem. I think even this conference also just now, we are trying to maintain our concentration, but many of us are being tracked off. But luckily, I'm very amazed with all the presenters because there is some uniqueness in your presentation which really attracts me. So that is very, very good of everyone here. Okay, the common listening habit that all Asians or ESL learners have, you translate word by word. Okay, that is a big issue. Okay, so these are issues which face, according to Abbas and Muhammad Reza, Now, this is from students' perspective. We can't be always telling teachers are right all the way, but we have to look also at students' perspective. One, why do they give up on oral text? Because they are very dependent on teachers to guide them. It's a nature. ESL learners, they are very well brought up as spoon-fed. Okay, they expect. Never mind, I get wrong in this answer. Never mind, my teacher will correct me. It's okay. Okay, so they if you give them especially MCQ, the most happening one, they will take out their M16 and just shoot out the answer wonderfully everywhere. Okay, and then at the end of the day, whether how many they got correct or wrong, they are not important. It's not important for them. So it's very important for us to ensure that these learners are aware of the seriousness of monitoring their learning. Okay, which is after this I'll explain. Now they have lack of focus on how to learn listening. Yes, many of them, because they don't have a strategy. That's an issue. Then it diverts their attention to other components of IELTS. Okay, I'm using IELTS as an example because we have a lot of international presenters here and speakers. Okay, so if you notice that if you don't, if you have speaker, you have a lot of people, students who sit for IELTS, they think, oh, never mind, if I can't do well in listening, it's okay, let's forgo. I have reading, writing, and listening, reading, writing, and speaking to score. Okay, lack of proficiency, poor listening skills. They don't know how to listen. Okay, don't worry. I'm sure if the parents speak, they will listen. But when a teacher speak, they hardly can listen. Okay, so they misinterpret the sub-test question. Yes, in most of the listening questions, like you have section 1, section 2, section 3, they misinterpret the sub-test questions. And then, from what the previous researchers found out, one, it's difficult for them to answer short answer question and then sentence completion questions. Okay, so my recommendation is when it comes to short answers and sentence completion, okay, if we have English teachers or everyone here, try to put that, we use the Crucian theory here, where we put that towards the end of a period of teaching listening. Don't put it at the beginning. Because at the beginning, you are here to pull their interest, to attract their interest to focus on listening. So if you try to put something difficult first in front of them, it's going to kill their interest. Learning, you require major interest. If you don't have interest, you won't learn. Same for me. For example, if just not everyone is speaking here, if the interest is not in me, I can't be listening to you on and on. But there's something in your presentation, everyone, that especially from the pineapple side, which I was totally unaware. I was too busy eating pineapple in life, and today I know it's wonderful medicine. Okay, that's a good thing about this conference. We get a lot of knowledge. Okay, so try to put short answer questions and sentence conclusion towards the end, not before that. Okay. Now, before that, what is metacognitive strategy and what is metacognition? Many of us here listen, especially this, I faced this during my postgraduate time when I explained people think metacognition strategy and metacognition is the same. No, metacognition is a theory. Okay, so if you hear somebody ask you what is the theory, it's metacognition. What is the strategy? It's metacognitive. It's two different things. Okay. Now, according to Vandergriff, okay, metacognitive is to think about their thinking. So, for example, whenever we teach them something, they must be able to think on what they are thinking, what they are learning. They are able to process the input and move on. Okay. Now, when it comes to metacognition, it is an ability to use what previous knowledge they have to plan a strategy on approaching a learning task. So if you put a learning strategy in front of them, they will be able to problem solve, reflect, or evaluate results. Okay, so this is a good thing about metacognition theory. Okay. Now, the person who found this metacognition theory is John Flavel in 1979. Okay, he's the founder of the metacognition theory, which came from Piaget's work. Okay. Now, what is the process in metacognition theory? One is managing input storage, search, retrieval contents of one memory. So it involves a lot of thinking. As the word cognition is there, you can see, right? Metacognition. Okay, and it's stress on the existing monitoring and process regulation for the learners. This makes them to become independent learners. Now, some people have asked me, is this applicable for preschool? Is this applicable for primary school? Is this applicable for secondary school? It is. But you need to set the exercise around the level, the correct level. If you are able to do that, then you are able to even mold the learners to become independent at a young age. Okay. Now, the person I really use the theory. I mean, the strategy is by this person. Okay, Dr. Go. Okay, Dr. Go. She is from NTU in Singapore. Okay. Now, she came up with this strategy: planning, monitoring, evaluating, and problem solving. Okay. First, the learners we need to teach them on planning. For example, for listening, let's say I give them section A. Section A talks about direction to a shopping mall. So we don't play the audio straight away. We ask the learners to read and plan what they are about to listen. Plan of what they are about to listen is here is, oh, this is direction. Oh, there is no numbers involved here. Oh, there is a lot of preposition involved here. So this is going to help them to answer. Then play the audio. And then next, monitoring. When they finish, let them check on their result for the particular section, on which part they did wrong. It's called monitoring, okay? Then, as they finish all the section A, B, C, D, you can apply this in any subjects, because I have a friend who's doing this, who went and used this idea for her IT paper. I mean, she's teaching now in IT. So she asked me, how do I make my learners be independent? So I just introduced to her what I did during my PhD. I mean this. And according to her, whenever she does her exercise according to this circle, it really works. Okay, it really makes the learners become more independent. And they started engaging more in e-learning. Okay. Next, monitoring. Okay. Evaluating. Evaluating is a part comes when the learners evaluate total. For example, a particular exercise is 40 marks. In 40, how many do they score? And lastly is problem solving. Problem solving is where they look back at each section which they did not do well. And it gives the learner the prerogative to improvise themselves on that particular, whereby they will focus more on that particular area. For example, word completion. I'm very weak at this. So I should do more word completion exercise. And if you notice, it comes from the learner, not from the teacher. So it transforms the learners into independent learners. Okay. So now, okay. This was a model I used in UUM many years back when I went for my 3 minutes thesis competition. Okay, so I really like this. This poster. Okay, one I use them. For example, we have a Malaysian ESL learners here, and they are learning IELTS listening, and they don't have strategy. Okay, so I input them the strategy by introducing the metacognitive strategy, which is planning, monitoring, evaluating, and problem solving. So this, and then at the first 3 lessons, you as a teacher, you have to guide them. Of course, you have to facilitate them. And then from 4th lesson onwards, up to you. Some learners, they can even become good at 2nd lesson. You can move their hands away from them. Okay, they can move them. And then the outcomes. We are giving an answer and a strategy to our learners to work on their own. They don't have to rely on us. Okay. Amajit, how many minutes more I have? I'm talking and enjoying myself without knowing the minutes. Do I have enough? Do I have more? How many minutes? I can't hear you.
Okay, Doctor, you have exceeded 3 minutes, but you can continue and try to finish it after.
Okay, I have a bit more only slides. Okay, sorry. I think I got excited.
Yes, it's okay, no problem.
Okay, this is, I think later maybe the organizers of the conference, you can share this with the, with all of the participants. My slides, I don't mind sharing my slides with anyone, up to you. Okay, how do you plan the strategies? As you can see, the strategies are here: planning, monitoring, evaluating, and problem solving. Now, when you want, how do you enforce them? How do you put them in implementation? You can see the second column. Okay, and then what kind of activities, what do learners do? Now, trust me one thing, when you as a teacher, when you are doing this, make sure you give this thing also to your learners. They must be able to know how to how to implement it on their own. Because remember, at the end of the goal, to know that our learners are able to be independent learners. And that is one of the challenges we face now is during this pandemic is e-learning. And to get our learners to be independent learners is quite difficult. Okay, very difficult to get them engaged, especially the passive one, especially the poor proficiency. So how do we do? So we find a strategy and give them. Okay. Now, this was from there you can even come up with research. Okay, so always think opportunities whenever you do something. Don't think that you can just don't think that I just doing this for the sake of teaching. Think about it as a teacher. Why not I come up with a paper with it? Or why not I try to get data from whatever I'm doing? Okay, so that I can publish, so you can know, let the whole world know. Okay, and it's a vast opportunity out there for everyone to share knowledge. So this is one kind of framework which I'm sharing with you. Okay, which you can actually use it. Okay, first you have experimental group. Okay, many people I think some of you all haven't even started this before. So maybe you have an experimental group, and then you have pre-experimental stage. Now, what is MLQ? Later, I'll show you what is MLQ. It's a questionnaire, okay, for you to test your learners' ability on metacognitive strategy. It's a validated questionnaire which you can find. And then you have IELTS listening test or any listening test. Then you teach them step by step monitoring, planning, monitoring, evaluating, problem solving, and then you also have at the end post experimental stage. Okay, because you want to keep up with their how did they do well. Now remember, if you have lesson 1 until lesson 6, please ask them to document their scores. It's very important because they will reflect that. If, for example, let's say in listening lesson 2, I got 40, but in listening lesson 5, I got 22. So when I'm there, I need to look back and reflect. So that is when the problem solving comes in. Okay, and this is another framework you can apply. Okay, maybe if you are a qualitative person, you want to use interview, go ahead. Okay, so this is from lesson 1 to lesson 3, what you can do. And lesson 4 until lesson 8, you can let the learners. Now this is for a lesson of my area, but maybe your institution, you have shorter or longer, it's up to you. You can modify the implementation, up to you. Now this is the questionnaire which I'm telling you. You can ask your learners to tick to check on their strategy level of acquiring. Okay, it's available in ML. It's available on the internet. It's by Vandergriff and Go. Okay. Now this questionnaire has been validated, so don't worry. You can use it for yourself or adapt it. Okay. And there's another one now we call Oslo. Another questionnaire we have online. Okay, so you can use that also. Up to you. Now, always whenever you do something new, learn how to experiment it, because we want to know the successness of it. Okay, very important, because we want to know the outcome. Okay, so some questionnaires, they will give you the scoring guide. Now, if the learners got this, what is it? Now the learners got this. Are they more planning learners, planning listeners? Are they more monitoring listener? So it's up to you. Okay. Now, whenever you do an experiment, you will find out the successes and the challenges experienced by the learners, okay, when they use metacognitive strategy. So that's the purpose. That's why I'm telling you, always have find out. Don't just, okay, I've done this strategy, it's fine, good. My student will do fine. How do you know? You wouldn't know. So that is why experimental approach is quite important when it comes to implementing new this one. And maybe once you have your result, you can share it as a guideline both for the teachers and students. Always focus when it comes to metacognitive research. Metacognitive strategy. You must be very student self-centered because we want independent learners here. And then it can be a guideline for the policymakers to improve curriculums and in existing preparatory courses. Okay. Now, thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Daljeet. And that was a great information sharing from Dr. Daljeet on the ESL listening as English. One of the English main language component is listening, as we all know. And the framework shared by Dr. Daljeet is really, really good. And I would wish that all of you try to implement it later. As well, you can go and follow us. We will share the video with all of you later, okay? And okay, so right after Dr. Daljeet's speech, okay, is there any questions to be asked to Dr. Daljeet? Is there any questions? Anyone wants to ask any question? Okay. Okay, so there is no questions, right? I think Dr. Daljeet, your presentation was amazing. Okay, Dr. Maminda has a question for you. All right, I will unmute Dr. Maminda and she will immediately ask her question to you. Hold on, yeah. 1 minute. Okay. Okay, Dr. Maminda, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, Sasrika, Doctor.
Sasrika, bro. Dr. Daljeet, okay. Actually, it's not to say a question. I'm just asking your opinion, all right? I like the part where you said that, the earlier part of your presentation, you mentioned about listening. It is, by just listening, they can improve their vocabulary and so on. I totally agree with you on that, okay? Even I've read some articles where listening to movies, when movies are playing, to off the subtitles and just listen to English and actually improve our English comprehensions and all that. But why students are not following that? When we tell them, when you watch English movie, try to off the subtitles. They still will, depend so much on the subtitles to understand the movie. Right, the movies, okay? Actually, this is a very good strategy. You watch movie, off the subtitle, you try to comprehend what is being spoken there and improve your vocabulary. I'm just asking your opinion, how can we use this type of thing, in improving students' vocabulary?
Okay. Okay, thanks a lot. That's a wonderful question, Dr. Manvida, because whenever I go for conferences, I always get this question. And I try to experiment again this metacognitive strategy and try to find the answer. And so many of us all here, I think, have you all heard about? I think all educators we know Gardner's multiple intelligence.
Yes.
Okay. Now some learners, they are not auditory learners.
Okay. All right.
That is an issue.
Yeah.
And why I'm so driven into listening, because if you go, I think we all have said for the Gardner's, the multiple intelligence test. When I found out that I'm a auditory learner, that's why I'm very driven to listening. Listening is my hobby now. Okay, some people, they are visual learners.
Yeah, like me.
Okay, so that is why they are very driven to transcribing. For example, I use your approach using YouTube and asking my learners, especially because I teach Chinese students. So they use captions of Chinese language and watch X-Files, those kind of things. Okay, so the main challenge happened here is the main issue here happen is when they do that, is good. They are learning new vocabulary, but they are doing direct translation.
Yes. Yeah.
So if you ask me, that kind of approach we need to push aside and then
Yeah.
try to mold an activity of our own. We have to create the activities, okay, which can blend in to get their attention to listen. Of course, if you see, oh, they like this kind of genre, maybe use that genre to expand their vocabulary, but in your way, because we are the we are teachers, the beacon of hope for them. Okay, so we need to actually use it. This is their interest. For example, if I know somebody likes chocolate, so I want to teach something. So I use chocolate and come up with vocabulary. Can you tell me what kind of ingredients you made in chocolates? So they will turn around the wrapper and tell you, those some of them cannot even pronounce the word. For example, if I have students who can't pronounce walnut, you will tell, okay, so these kind of things. And then visual learning is very important. Of course, we can't be depending on listening skills, because correct, I agree with you, Dr. Manvinda, because some listeners, they cannot picturize the word they listen.
Yes, yes.
So it's one of the biggest challenges, especially in listening skill. We need to show them images.
Yeah, yes, actually, I agree with you on that. When we as educators, we prepare the lessons, especially now in this remote learning kind of thing. So when we give them short videos, like we have to share, through WhatsApp and all this, we can kind of, like you said, modify those videos to suit our aims. Meaning we just encourage them to listen for the words, new words and all that. And it's good when we use the planning and evaluating framework that you have shared. It's good. Thank you, Dr. Daljeet. Thank you.
I would like before I end. I think I had my time is going up. Before I end, I would like to really thank Sal for inviting me for this wonderful opportunity. Okay, I'm really appreciate for your kind information. This is my inaugural keynote. And inaugural keynote. So it's very, very interesting to do it online. And I really like your approach, because one thing, you are in a conference, but your family is around you, and my family is actually experiencing what is conference around me. And my dad is coming in front of me. So it's like a good approach. I really love this kind of conference. It's really worth it. Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you.